Hi, I'm Paul Duchesne and welcome to Mama Paul's Kitchen. Today is Tuesday, January the 12th, 2021, and we're not going to talk politics today. We're not going to talk about the news. We're not going to talk about any views. We're going to talk about food today. And I've been wanting to do shows about food for quite a while now, and finally I got the gumption up to come up here to the kitchen here, move things around and set this whole thing up. What I'd like to talk about initially is food combining. Now, I first got into health food many years ago when I had a really severe ulcer, which may have had something to do with working at AT&T. And I wound up getting into macrobiotics, which I was into for a long period of time. It was during that time that I created a brown rice tofu sandwich, which became commercially real popular. And along the way, wound up designing, planning, and building Wildwood Natural Foods, the only successful cauldron-style tofu shop in America. Well, it was a bad partnership, gone really bad. And at the end of the day, they are now owned by a Korean company, Wildwood Natural Foods. The interim between the time that I left there, the next big major food thing I did along the way, I've been working for health food stores and doing a small distribution business. I set out to create an organic Twinkie, which I did successfully do. Although it'll never get to market, maybe we'll get into these pretty soon. I have some downstairs that are over 3 years old and still not moldy. But somewhere around 15-20 years ago, I went through various different phases of vegetarianism and lack of any cheeses and a dozen different diets. And along the way, bumped into food combining. Now, food combining was created or popularized in the 60s by a lot of these naturopaths who were just, the health food business was just starting to grow and a lot of voices were coming out. And a lot of these European naturopaths were all talking about the same thing. And the essence of food combining has got to do with the fact that proteins and starches don't go well together. Okay? So spaghetti and meatballs, great tasting meal and everything, a digestive nightmare. Macaroni and cheese, great tasting meal, digestive nightmare. Steak and potatoes. So the way we eat isn't necessarily the best way to eat. With food combining, what the theory is that the enzymes that are responsible for the digestion of proteins are different than the enzymes that are responsible for the digestion of carbohydrates. Fruits are a category all unto themselves. Now, the essence of the diet is that you start the day off with the fruit. Now, not fruit and yogurt, not fruit and granola, but a fruit salad, whole fruit. Now you get this burst of enzymes into your system, which gives you a tremendous amount of long-term energy, and it helps flush your system out. A lot of stuff goes in, not everything comes out, and that's what you want to do. You want to get everything out. People, when they're detoxifying, they're always getting rid of toxins in their body. That's what they're doing with a fast, detoxification diet. You're getting rid of the toxins that are in your body. Well, start the day with a fruit salad and bam, you're getting rid of the toxins every day on a massive scale. The enzymes the enzymes in the fruit take about an hour to digest. The protein and the starch enzymes take about 2 hours to digest. When you combine the protein and the starches together, they take about 4 hours to digest. If you combine the fruit with the starches, they take about 4 hours to digest. If you just have the fruit by itself, it takes about 1 hour, gets digested. You can then eat your next meal. The starches and the proteins require more time between them to get fully assimilated into your body. They take at least 2 hours. If you put them together, it's a 4-hour process. If you separate the carbs and the protein, it takes about 2 hours. What happens is the food gets digested in your body much quicker. You assimilate it better, and you get more of the nutritional value from the food. The recommendation is that you have your fruit salad to start. And then you have a protein-centric meal and a carbohydrate-centric meal. With the protein-centric meal, you want to add to it a salad and cooked vegetables. With the carbohydrate-centric meal, you want to add a salad and some cooked vegetables. The idea is to get the salad and the vegetables in with the protein, the salad and the vegetables in with the carbohydrates. Along the way here, what you're trying to do also, you're trying to increase your intake of raw vegetables. Now, like I said, when I started off in this health food odyssey, I was into macroneurotics. Did I say? I did say yes, it's macroneurotics, I said. You got a little bit neurotic after being on this diet for too long a period of time. They were so down on raw foods and fruits that even if they had a salad, they would press it. They would press the lettuce to get the moisture out of it. They really thought the raw foods were the end all of your health. The raw food people, on the other hand, thought just the opposite. Now, over the years, as I've known many just macroneurotic people and just raw food people, the raw food people definitely look healthier. The ones who knew how to do it properly, which is not easy to do. But these people were definitely much healthier. They had better complexion, their whole skin, their whole demeanor, everything was much better. The just cooked people with no raw food started to get very, very tight, very, very tight, and very sometimes grumpy. So the food combining brings everything together. It brings cooked foods, raw foods, starches, protein, fruit, everything together. Everything, you can eat almost everything, you just don't eat them all at the same meal. So typically, I will have a protein-centric meal, carbohydrate-centric meal, with the salad and the vegetables, and so I'm making salads twice a day. And the salads became the almost central part of my diet. That was the essential part that I needed in the diet. So what I've got in front of me today, let's open up the camera here. What I've got in front of me today, I got the little board here. I have the various ingredients I'm going to make into a topping I put on my salad. Now, let me show you here. Let's get a picture of what I had for breakfast here this morning. Let's get it up here. All right, there it is. There's the breakfast I had this morning. If you'll take a look there in the upper, I hope it's left. I'm looking at it from here. Those are 2 little pieces of ham. Right next to that, the green part is the salad with the topping on top. Going down clockwise to the right there is a combination of shiitake mushrooms and Swiss chard, pine nuts, and turmeric. And to the left, the nice looking orange thing there, that's a butternut squash. Let's get rid of that, and usually the way that I eat it, just so you don't think is with the New York Times. So my daily ritual is to make the breakfast and have the New York Times. Now this particular breakfast that you're looking at, it's just vegetables, a salad, and meat. I do eat meat. I am not a vegetarian. I don't go out and shoot beef. I don't go out and shoot animals. But if the animal is already dead, I will eat it. And I do eat ham. I eat a lot of ham. I eat a lot of fish. I eat chicken. I don't eat a lot of red meat. Not a lot of red meat at all. Okay, let's put that up in the corner for a second, and we'll just get rid of it. What the heck. The point was the dressing I put on top of the salad is sort of the last thing I do. And as far as this goes, I'm going to work my way backwards and do the last thing first, and the first thing maybe on another show. So we'll see how it goes. So the dressing I put on top of the salad is a combination of. I start with this kale crunch. This is Lydia. Lydia used to have a business downtown. She moved out of here quite a while ago and went up to a less expensive. I think she moved up to Petaluma. Great lady, heavily into raw foods, and she puts out this kale crunch, and that's the basis for my mixture. Now, let me say something about kale before I go. Kale, I like kale. It's okay, but you don't want to eat kale 7 days a week. And there was a huge interest in kale. Started, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. It's still going on in some circles. You can go into some restaurant to get a kale salad. People started eating kale regularly. Now, kale, you would go to Las Vegas, and the only kale that you would find in Las Vegas was used as a decorator around the food trays. There was some different colored kale, some white kales, green kales, some other colored, and they would literally be the decorative vegetable that was laying around the edge of the food trays, specifically in places like Las Vegas, but not just there. Other big hotel chains used to do the same thing. Kale, somewhere in the late 90s, early part of the century, started to get really popular, and everybody started eating a lot of kale. Well, in the health food crowd, if a fad catches on, there's going to be a group of people that are going to be into it. And there were people eating kale every day. Literally, a little bit of kale here, a little bit of kale there, every day. They're having kale. A whole group of people started to go to a doctor, Dr. Elson House, who I believe wrote the book Eating by the Season, something like that. He has a book about eating seasonally, Elson House. And he's an MD and a nutritionist in the area here. And a lot of his clients started to come. They were complaining about depression and insomnia and headaches and all sorts of symptoms. Well, oops, there goes that phone again. Let's see who it is. Let's see who it is. Is it Dr. Elson House? No, it's the wife. So I guess we'll take the call in the middle of the show. Yeah, hon.
I'm on my way home.
Oh.
I had a feeling that might happen.
Yeah, it is.
All right.
Okay, I'll start over. Bye. That was my wife calling, not Elson House. And I knew I better answer the phone because I asked her to call me before she came home. I'll let that interruption stay in here or I'll never get this thing done. Okay, so the kale, what happened with these people was this whole group of people, like I said, they were getting depressed, insomnia, headaches, all sorts of symptoms. And House looked at this and he said, yeah, I wonder what's going on with this group of normally pretty healthy people developing all these symptoms. And he did a little survey and he found out they were all eating kale every day. Kale is what they call an accumulator. When it's planted in a field, the kale will suck up any of the poisons and the metals that are in that field. It's a cleanup kind of crop. So if you had a field that had been contaminated for a long time, you might want to plant some cover crops of kale to clean up the field. Well, the kale pulls up, like I said, all of these toxic minerals. The group, it turned out, like I said, they were eating kale every day, and the people who were eating the most of it had these high spiked levels of arsenic, cadmium, all sorts of metals which were causing these problems. Now, I've never been that big an eater of kale. I would eat it maybe once a week to this day. Now, I use kale as a basis in here. This is kale, this is organic kale that's been dried and turned into a kind of crunch thing. So this bag, I've already used half of it, and this is the second hand that's left. If you have it in small quantities, moderately, you won't have a problem. There won't be any problem. I'm just going to pour this into the bowl here, and that's the half of the bag of this. I make this little topping about every other week. I started with this. Now, I started with this, and as things started to get weird, there's another ingredient that was really hot to add to my salads, and that is dulse. Dulse is a seaweed. Seaweeds are really good at pulling toxins out of your body also. Classically, a lot of people that will do fast will drink some seaweed drinks, which are, I'm not crazy about that. I'm not crazy about most seaweeds by themselves. Having said that, you can use something like kombu or wakame, and when you're cooking beans, if you add that into the beans that you're cooking, it will improve the digestibility of the beans because of the constituents in the seaweed. So I like to get a nice big chunk of, a nice little tablespoon or so of the dulse in my salad, in my mix. So dulse was the first thing I did. And that was where I started. I really wanted to get that in there. I put a little hemp seed in. I put about a tablespoon of hemp seed in. Hemp, interestingly, has the hemp oils have the same sort of chemical structure, very, very, very similar to human blood. Nutritional yeast I've started to add. This is probably, nutritional yeast was real popular in the 70s, 60s, 70s. It started to lose popularity. God, is it delicious. It has this really nutty flavor. It's great on popcorn. You can just eat it as it is. It's probably the least stable ingredient that I put in here. The more drier ingredients are much more stable. Mostly I'll keep nutritional yeast in the refrigerator until I start to use it. I'm going to add turmeric. I use a lot of turmeric. I grate turmeric into a cup. In fact, that vegetable dish I showed you, with the mushrooms and the greens, I grate fresh turmeric into that. I use a nice little tablespoon of turmeric in here also. So I'll put the turmeric in. Then we're going to get what's going to maybe surprise you, cacao. Cacao is your unprocessed raw chocolate. And this thing is without a doubt one of the really heavy superfoods. And I started to play around and invent a few products with this a couple of years ago, and consequently got sort of turned on to using raw cacao. Now, the taste is not the greatest in the world. If you just add it into something with all these other flavors, you sort of neutralize any of the harsh flavor of it, and you wind up with a little crunch, a little bite, sort of like a nut, and all the nutritional value. I use two seeds in here. I use sunflower seeds and pumpkin seeds. Now, if you get the chance and you're interested in this food combining, you'll find, well, actually there's two things I guess we're talking about here. There's food combining, and then there's foods that are better and worse for individuals. Everybody's not the same. And in Ayurvedic medicine, which is Indian medicine, I turn out to be a Pitta type, and for me, these are two seeds that are really beneficial. Now, the other seeds aren't going to kill me or anything, but these are more beneficial for me. So, let's put in other words, walnuts would be more for a different body type person. And the pumpkin seeds, I really like pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin seeds, we'll put two of those in there. Now, the last thing I'm going to put in here, this is, I mentioned Ayurvedic medicine, and this is there it is. I purchased this original product probably over 10 years ago up in Ashland, Oregon. We would go there regularly for once a year, maybe for a couple of plays, and nice town, Ashland, really nice place to go. And there was a Ayurvedic little shop there, a lot of clothes and a few medicinal items. Well, this is a Pitta spice masala, she called it. And what it was this you would add to a salad just by itself. Now, in this particular one, because it's for my body type, it's got coriander, dill, parsley, cumin, spirulina, I don't like spirulina, cardamom, anise, peppermint, basil, licorice, fennel, cinnamon, turmeric again, raw sugar. I don't use much. I use raw, if I'm going to have raw sugar, I'll have it in a dessert. I don't add it to this. And sea salt, I don't need to put salt into this either. So this was her original recipe, and ever since then, about once every 2 or 3 months, I go to the health food store and I literally get a small bag of all 12 or so of these different herbs in powdered form. Not, you don't want chunks or seeds or anything. And I'll throw in a nice big tablespoon or so of that in here. Okay, that's it. That's the mixture. So what I'll do is here, I'll just sort of mix the whole thing up. A couple of large pieces. Here we go. Let's sort of mix it up over here. And I'm just going to put this into a jar. And it's the jar I use right here. Put this into the jar. Now let's see if we can get it in without spilling it. Okay, going good so far, so far, so far. All right, all right, all right. We did it. Okay. A little bit more here. Okay. All right, so here's my mixture. Here is my now finished mixture that I'm going to top my salads with. I'll show you the salad really briefly and then we'll wrap this thing up. To make a salad, I use, and like I said, I'm not going to go too heavily with the rest of this because mostly I just wanted to emphasize the mixture. This here is a mix of salad greens, dandelion, sunflower sprouts, and radicchio. The radicchio are the little purple things. So there's radicchio here. Here's what radicchio looks like. Well, that's the end of the radicchio. I've been cutting up a little bit of every week when I put my salad mix together. The basis of my salad mix is usually lettuces, spring mixes. I might do just a mix of some romaine and a butter lettuce, or a spring salad mix, depending on what's available locally and at the time. Now, because of the pandemic, it's harder to get a lot of the greens the way you'd like them, which is sort of bulk. And a lot of these now are packaged in these plastic boxes coming from Baby Girl Greens or somebody. And unfortunately, I have to buy this plastic box every week now, so that's a little bit disturbing. But I get this really great mixture of these green vegetables. So these are all leafy, green, different kinds of lettuces, baby lettuces, and a little bit of arugula in there. This actually was, these salad mixes were actually created in Bolinas by Warren Weber back in the mid-80s. I think I've mentioned that before. I might mention it again. I also put dandelion in. Now, dandelion is not something you want to have a big bowl of. Dandelion is very bitter. Now, all these bitter foods turn out to be blood purifiers and really good at detoxing. So, if you take something like that and you mix it with something that's, less strong, you'll wind up with a good combination. So this mix, like I said, it's a spring mix, sunflower, radicchio, dandelion, boom. Those are my greens. I then put what I call hard vegetables on top of that. And I'll show you myself doing this on another time. The hard vegetables I use are celery, red peppers, and fennel. Now, fennel was a top vegetable for me, and I never really liked fennel. When I started using it, I mixed it with the celery and the red pepper. As I said before, when you start mixing things together, it changes the whole picture. So I'm going to take a little handful of this, put this across the top there like that. So now I've got my soft green vegetables, my hard vegetables on top. To finish it off, I'm going to sprinkle this on top of the whole thing. So I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on top of there. And there's my salad that I'm, this particular salad I put together right now, well, probably I spent 15 minutes just cutting these vegetables last night. I just cut these all the other night. They'll last me about a week. I use 1 fennel bulb, 2 celery stalks, and 1 big fat red pepper. What I'm going to do with the salad, I'm not going to put the olive oil. Now, I've been using, here it is. Oh, I got the bottle here. Here's the bottle. I've been using this Il Castellare organic extra virgin olive oil. The store I shop in, they've always got an imported olive oil on sale. And this one, I actually gave this away as Christmas gifts this time. This is one of the oldest olive oil makers in Italy. It's imported from Italy, and these people have been around for over 100 years. The color on the oil, it's hard to see. Well, it's a nice, really deep greenish color. Absolutely delicious. Nice little spicy bite to it. I don't do a lot of spicy food. It's not good for my system. And I get more spice out of the olive oil than some people get out of peppers. I'm not going to put that on. I'm also not going to put the pepper on. I will usually top it off with the olive oil and the crushed pepper. And additionally, I will use a little cucumber, depending on how they look for the day. And lastly, I might put a little jicama in there. Jicama, I just sort of discovered within the last year. It's just marvelously sweet, chunky. It's absolutely yummy in a salad. So I'll cut off a little piece of this jicama. You don't just store this on the side. You don't put it in the refrigerator. It's no good. You don't leave it. What I do is when I cut off a piece, I just leave it literally out for the week, putting the exposed side on a plate, and it holds up the best, is what I found. Wrapping it up, it'll go bad fast. Refrigerator will go bad fast. Cucumbers, not the same case. So anyway, there's my salad. Let's put these back. And what I'll do with the salad is I'm going to make, for me, this is 3 meals. I mean, you can see that. If you were a heavy vegetarian and you're just eating raw food, well, that's your meal for the day. Not me. I'm going to have meat. I'm going to have other things for the day, other vegetables. So what I'll generally do is I'll cut about 1/3 of it off, like so. And I'll put the rest of it right back into my little plastic container. So I'll basically put in there whatever I can fit. And in this case, okay, so I'll put this aside, and this will be my next meal, and this will be my 2 meals for tomorrow, and I've got my salad together for the week. Okay, food combining, that's the salad, the oils. I have the bottle of coconut oil up here. I'm not going to put coconut oil in here, but I'm going to make a pitch for Dr. Bronner. The last couple of days on the show, I talked about coconut oil, the benefits of coconut oil. I specifically buy Dr. Bronner's coconut oil. Now, I have never been that crazy, to tell you the truth, about Dr. Bronner's, the rap, the all is one is all, blah, blah, blah. A little bit overly religious. His soaps, which became, especially his liquid soaps, became very, very popular. And he had all these words written all over the label there. It was like reading the Bible. Having said that, the term I'll use a lot, he's also very political. And when the anti-GMO people were marching on Washington years ago, Bronner's son literally marched from Washington, or from New York to Washington, and the family gave a tremendous amount, the company and the family, it's a family-owned company, gave a tremendous amount, 1, 2, 3, at least 5 digits, at least 5 zeros worth of money to the movement at the time. This was the time when Whole Foods not only didn't want to contribute to the anti-GMO movement, was literally verbally opposing it. At the end, they got shamed into getting on the bandwagon. But the reason I buy Dr. Bronner's is for political reasons. His is a really good coconut oil. There's 2 or 3 other brands out there that are at least just as good, if not better. I'll generally sometimes spend $1 more on his to support them in their political movement. They're also on Twitter all the time. So because of that, I like these people. And I will, like they say, put your money where your mouth is. So we almost hit a whole half hour just making a little salad mix that I use. So there it is, food combining, made easy. Maybe we'll do another show next week and we'll show the vegetable cuttings. I have a couple other interesting recipes I'd like to share with you. Other than the brown rice tofu sandwich, I make a terrific mock hash and eggs thing with using buckwheat. Anyway, I got a couple of food items up my sleeve, and there it is for today, my first attempt at being in the kitchen. Peace, patience, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for joining in.